You have the quiet, strategic world of chess on one hand, and then you have the explosive, chaotic, beautiful game of soccer on the other. So, could a mathematical system born in the world of chess possibly predict what happens on the pitch? Today, we're diving into how one really elegant rating system is kicking off a revolution in sports analytics. Let's break it down.
So let's just cut to the chase here. Could the exact same logic that ranks chess grandmasters actually tell us who might lift the next World Cup trophy? I know, it sounds a little far-fetched, right? But the worlds of sports and data, well, they're colliding in ways we have never, ever seen before.
And look, this isn't just some theory. As researchers Donghee Zhang and Jason Zhang put it, big data and AI are completely changing the game. We're moving past the era of relying just on a coach's experience or a player's gut instinct. These days, success is more and more often found in the numbers.
Okay, so that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? How can a bunch of code and algorithms possibly capture the passion and chaos of 11 players on a field? Well, it all starts with a tool that's surprisingly simple and elegant.
So, what is this tool? Let's step onto what we'll call the data-driven pitch and take a look at the engine behind this whole transformation. It's called the Elo rating system.
The Elo system, at its core, is basically just a way of measuring the relative strength of teams. It started in chess, and it gives every team a rating, a number. And after every single match, that number changes. But here's the key. It's not just about winning or losing. It's about who you beat and what the system expected to happen in the first place.
Now, this might sound complicated, but it's actually pretty straightforward. First, the system looks at the two teams, and based on their rating difference, it makes a prediction. It expects the much higher-rated team to win. Then it looks at the real result. A win is worth 1 point, a draw is half a point, a loss is 0. And finally, it adjusts the ratings. So if a huge underdog pulls off an upset, their rating gets a massive boost, and the favorite's rating takes a big hit. The size of the change is all about the size of the surprise.
And this is where you can fine-tune the system. There's this variable called the K-factor, and you can think of it like a sensitivity knob. If you turn up the K-factor, the ratings become way more responsive to recent matches. So a team that's on a hot streak will see its ratings shoot up really fast. A lower K-factor, on the other hand, puts more weight on long-term performance.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Ranking teams is one thing, but what if this system could actually predict how a team is going to play before they even step on the field? Not just who wins, but their entire strategy.
So check this out. In a recent study, researchers took a deep dive, analyzing thousands of matches from the biggest leagues in Europe. And they weren't just looking at wins and losses. They used the Elo ratings to track a team's momentum, to see if they were on an upswing or a downswing. And their goal? To predict how the team would play, aggressively or defensively.
And get this, the results were absolutely stunning. The model they built could predict when a team was going to play defensively with 85% accuracy. And it was even better at spotting when a team would go on the attack, hitting 89% accuracy. I mean, think about that. This shows that Elo can give coaches a real, data-driven edge when preparing for the next opponent.
Okay, but this is where our story takes a pretty sharp turn, because for all its incredible predictive power, the standard Elo system, at least the way it's usually used for sports like soccer, has a critical, hidden flaw.
And it all comes down to one simple question, a question that the original chess-based model just wasn't really built to handle. What do you do about draws? Because in soccer, they're a massive part of the game.
50%. What on earth could that number mean? Well, it's the key. It's the secret to understanding this huge flaw that's baked right into the standard algorithm.
And here it is, the bombshell. The math behind the classic Elo system, the one that treats a draw as a half win, it quietly, secretly assumes the draws happen 50% of the time. Now, for some high-level chess matches, that might be fine, but for soccer, no way. The actual draw rate in soccer is way closer to 25%. The model is working with a fundamentally wrong assumption about the sport it's trying to predict.
So, does this mean the whole system is useless? Absolutely not. Finding a flaw like this isn't a failure. It's actually exactly how science is supposed to work. It lets us build something even better.
This isn't a bug in the system. It's the scientific process playing out right in front of us. When you stress test the tool and find its limits, you open the door to innovate and create something way more powerful.
And that something better has a name, the Elo-Davidson model. It's a more advanced version of the algorithm, and it's built specifically to fix this problem with draws.
Instead of just treating a draw as this weird half-win, half-loss thing, it sees it for what it is, a third, totally separate outcome.
So let's put them side by side. It makes it super clear. The standard ELO is basically a one-size-fits-all tool with that hidden and often wrong 50% draw assumption. The Elo-Davidson model, on the other hand, is flexible. You can actually tell it the real-world draw rate for any sport, whether it's 25% for soccer or something else entirely for hockey or cricket. It's adaptable, it's more accurate, it's just a huge step forward.
Which kind of brings us to this big final question. As these data models get more and more sophisticated, predicting not just wins, but strategies, and even accounting for the unique rules of each sport, what's left for human intuition? For that coach's gut feeling on the sideline, or that player's spark of genius that no algorithm could ever see coming? That's something to think about.